Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Albert SugarBear Barbieri, also known as
number 8 in your scorecard, number 1 in your heart. I said, are they going to approach you, or have they approached you? And he went, they won't approach me. And that right there, I knew that my father was well respected. And by that time, he was much older regime, and the regime he came from, he wasn't going to get approached. The first street tax and everything. And I think at that time, it was like 1984, 5, 6, where my father was ready to retire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a racketeer. My father was one. It was just, growing up in South Philly, it was good to be his son. And like that, I never got in any trouble. But my dad was well liked and respected, and that's it.
He always had a lot of money on him too.
Not my dad. No, you know what? No, my dad wasn't a gambler. Obviously he made money off gamblers, right? He wasn't a flashy guy. He always had a nice car. Always had Cadillacs, and had a nice, beautiful shore home, summer home. Well, it was a summer, but he had a nice home in Margate, New Jersey, before anybody had one. He bought it in 1967 before Margate. So there might have been a few other people that started to buy a home in Margate, New Jersey, which wound up being a nice summer home for people in South Jersey and South Philly and Philadelphia to spend their summers. Because by 1978, the casino burst. But no, yeah. my father just... No. So to answer your question, no, he was not a flash guy. He didn't flash. He wasn't that. My father was low key and just tried to help many people in the neighborhood. He was a committeeman. He had a lot of political pull, my father. You take 30 pinches and don't get found guilty. That tells you something. My father was, I should have brought it with me. It's actually got in my briefcase in the trunk of my car. But we can get into that, how I got to that. But my father was very instrumental at election time because he was a committeeman in my ward, the ward my father came from. It's called the 48th Ward. And, he had arm's reach to city jobs, state jobs, anything to do with the city, license inspection. So for a vote, my father, if you were in the neighborhood or anybody needed a favor, traffic court, my father had it stranglehold, a traffic court. My God.
So someone got a parking ticket or a red light.
Yeah, you call, yes. Joey Molino came to my house about 3. It's funny. To suspend the license 2 times that I know of. I know one time knock on the door, Joey's got to be, this is in the 80s. So if I got 4 years on Joey, let me see. If I'm 24, Joey's like 20, knock on the door. Joey, I remember one time I answered, "What's up, Joey?" "Sure, your father home?" "Yeah." My father come in the kitchen. "Don't tell me again, Joey." "Yeah, Liz." So, yeah, my father had big pull in traffic court. And but in return, you had to vote his way come election time because my father, in return for those favors, wasn't getting found guilty on all his pinches. But he would help certain councilmen, judges get reelected by the people who would get favors from my father with jobs and getting help, getting the tickets squashed and all that stuff. You had problems with your property, license inspection. It was insane. And come election time, you would have to vote the way my father would tell you. I worked the polls. I remember I watched my father go in the election, in the booth with an older woman or whatever. And he'd tell you, most of the time it was either all Republican or Democrat, whoever's running, councilman, mayor, whatever. And he'd tell you who to... It's funny. Yeah. It wasn't a corrupt thing. It was just like, listen, if you're in the neighborhood and my father got you a second job because you're a newlywed, just got married, but your wife wants to work, and my father got you a state job, maybe on the toll booth, trust me, you ain't worrying about, what lever you're going to pull come election time. My father, you come to the poll, and my father tell you, this is who you're going to vote. You're going to do it. Yeah. You're going to do it because you're worried about your life. We didn't care who's in office, But that's how it went. And my father was so strong in that regard. It was nuts. I never paid for a ticket. I didn't get many, but I never had to pay for a ticket.
I heard Philly
Crazy.
is terrible for parking and people get
When
tickets and towed and all
that's
that.
well, now it is. Now it is these days. When I look back and look at the cars we drove, how long they were, Eldorados, Cadillacs, how they're like boats, and
Yeah.
how do we fit all these cars in the parallel parking? Nowadays, there's angle parking. Started maybe like 30 years ago. Angle. They park on an angle now. As you go down the street, you see cars on an angle, and it makes sense. You get more cars to park because they're not parallel.
Yeah.
On a street that's a block long, maybe 300 yards long, a block maybe. Maybe you get 25 cars. Now, if you put them parallel, maybe get double that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was it's the parking in South Philly is insane, man. And the the parking authority just abuses just abuses people with parking, man, giving tickets out. It's sad.
Holding their car hostage and putting boots on
Yeah,
and all this stuff.
yeah. Well, people put Can you imagine driving around for 25 minutes, 30 minutes to find a parking spot, and if you come home 11:30 at night? It's just family's got 3-4 cars in a family. That wasn't the case in the 70s, 80s when I grew up.
Yeah, everyone.
I got lucky in my neighborhood, where I lived with my mother, across the street on Broad and Wolf. I grew up in Broad and Wolf. Was a funeral parlor, and my father was so close with the family, the Leonetti family. Joe Leonetti, the owner of the funeral parlor, gave me permission to. My father, I told him who my father was, and my father talked to him. He said, "Sure, I park in the parking lot in the funeral parlor parking lot." I had no problem.
Was he related to?
No, that no relation. No, that Leonetti. There's a lot of Leonettis in South Philly.
Yeah,
I went to high school with a Joe Leonetti. He was not related. He's a neurosurgeon these days. He's a good
When is
kid.
the first time that you came across Salvie Testa? What was your first dealings with him?
Well, Well, Salvie Testa. Salvie Testa, I say this all the time. It's when I told my Salvie Testa story about a poker game, and I'll share a little bit about, these guys that we know to be mob guys, gangsters, connected, whatever. They're human beings just like we are, right?
Yeah.
When they're not in the moment, whatever life they're in, the world they're in, they're human beings. They're nice guys, right? So Salvie went to the same high school I went to, Bishop Newman. He's 2 years older than me. I knew his friends, okay? Salvie's father and my father knew each other, respected each other. My father's a little older than Salvie's father. My father would be coming up on 104 years old if he was alive. My father come up in April. But Salvie played sports in the neighborhood. He'd come to the gym. We call it Government Recreation Gym at 16th and Jackson. Saturday morning, play basketball. He played in rough touch leagues, 1978, 79. So Salvie was just a nice, cool dude. You knew his father was Phil Testa, But my first my first run, and I tell a story about it at a poker game at a hangout, South Philly at Catherine and Hutchison Street. I'm in a 5-card stud game. Salvie's to my left. And to save this, you want me to tell the story? I mean, it's I could tell you. I could tell you. I could. So,
Yeah, you can tell me.
Okay, so it's 1982. Okay, unbeknownst to me, it's like I say, Salvie. This is 2 years prior to Salvie getting killed. Salvie got killed in 1984, September of '84.
This is after Bruno gets killed, right?
Yes, yeah. Bruno gets killed March of '80. This is in '82. I know it's 1982 because the apartment I lived around the corner from this hangout. I just moved into this apartment in '82, in the summer of '82. And there's a hangout, and we're going to play, and there's a grocery store. And in the back room, like every hangout, where gin, rummies played, and poker, and we're going to play 5-card stud game. And And I want your listeners to know I'm no Gianni Russo. I'm no Gianni Russo. I don't sprinkle bullshit to make the story fabricate more. I don't lie. There, this story. There's two of the guys that were in the game are still living today. Ralphie Head, a Bruzy, he's still living. I know he remembers this. Russell Conti, who owned the store, his brother Anthony Conti, they called him Anthony Weiner. He was there. And before Chicky just passed away a year ago, when I told this story in 2019, I asked Chicky if he don't mind me telling the story because Chicky was involved in the story. And he said, Sugar, go ahead. Feel free to tell the story. I remember it like it was yesterday. And he just got out of jail 5 years prior, because I tell the story in 2019. I think Chicky got out of jail in 2015.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on anybody's toes because, it had nothing to do with the mob related or mafia. It was all about guys at a hangout. But anyway, it's 1982, so I'm in this poker game, 5-card stud. That's what we played back then. It was 7-card stud, 5-card stud growing up in the 80s, all right? And I got Salvie Testa to my left. I got Ralphie Head to my right. I got Anthony Conti, we call him Anthony Weiner. I got Gary Animal, one of Salvie's closest friends, Gary Animal. I made a mistake in my recent story. I said Mikey. Mikey's his brother. I misspoke. It's Gary, another kid, Mikey Mannion. And I'm in a hand with Salvie, and we're at the end, raise, re-raise. I raise him back, right? I make a straight, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you know anything about poker, that's a big hand, 5-card stud, right? And all of a sudden, guys at the table start to make a comment, joke. Ralphie Head makes a comment. Sometimes you get the bear, but sometimes the bear will get you, and I'm laughing. I repeat it. I'm pulling the money. I got the money in my hand, and I feel it snatched out of my hand. And Salvie snatched the money out of my hand. $900 I have. And I'm shocked, right? And, it's Salvie, right? What am I going to say? What the fuck you doing, Salvie? I can't say that. I just ain't going to do it. But I'm waiting for him to break to see, is he serious? And it isn't. He's not. He is serious. And all of a sudden, he starts, what's so funny, Sugar? Because now I'm like shy. I'm lit. You can hear a pin drop in the room. What's so funny, Sugar? This ain't no funny no more, huh? What happened? What happened? Sometimes you get the bear and the bear gets you. Oh my God. I'm like, Jesus, what the hell did I get myself in there? I don't know what to say. I don't even know what's proper to say. Yo, Sal, give me my money back, or what are you going to do? God knows. Are you going to ante up, Sugar? You got to ante up. We're going to play. Deal the cards. Let's go. Sugar, ante? And I'm like, I don't have my money. He's got it. So I'm like Ray Liotta in the movie, like in Goodfellas, but unbeknownst to Salvie, it's 1982. He's pulling this off, right? And I'm like, I got to get up. I can't play. I ain't got no money. I got to walk. I got to walk out of the hangout. Do the walk of shame, walk out. My apartment's around the corner. Felt like half an hour to get there. I'm dazed, confused. I'm in shock. Next day, I get a phone call by a friend of mine, Gigi. His name's Salvatore Storione. I'm friendly with him. At the time, he was dating Chicky Ciancaglini's daughter, Marie. Now, don't get confused about the Maria Marilina and Salvie association. Chicky had 2 stepdaughters that he raised because he had 3 biological sons. And Gigi was dating Maria, Chicky's other daughter. And he calls me up. Shug, what's going on? Nothing, Gig. What's going on? I said, listen, Gigi says, I just got off the phone with Chicky. I talked to Chicky. He said he wants to talk to you. What? I said, come on, Gig. Are you serious? Why would Chicky? Now, this is a year before Chicky goes away. This is 1982. Chicky had to go away in 1983. My memory's pretty good. So, I said, Gig, come on. Does this have anything to do with the poker game last night? And Gigi goes, yeah, it does, Shug. I'm like, come on. I'm saying to myself, really? I said, all right, I'll be over. So Chicky Chang lived a couple doors away from the hangout, where the poker game was, the hangout. the grocery store there. Just, I'm talking steps away.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know what I'm going, I don't know what he's going to tell me, say to me. I get in there, he sits me down. Sugar, what happened last night at the poker game? Because Salvy's upset.